What are the county's next steps to reopening after the statewide COVID-19 shutdowns?
It's a very complicated question. All right, so the COVID-19 crisis actually is two separate crises: a healthcare crisis and a devastating economic crisis. We have addressed a healthcare crisis by the social distancing rules that we're following, that are put out by the CDC and by the state. And I really want to thank all the people in Douglas County for basically following those social distancing rules. We have currently 3 active cases in Douglas County, a total of 22 cases and 19 that have recovered. And you know, they talk about, you hear about on the news, everyone hears on the news that we want to flatten the curve. Well, 22 cases out of a population of about 50,000 people, we really haven't had a curve. We're dealing with it here in Douglas County. We have delivered a letter to Governor Sisolak last Thursday. That was a letter that was signed by all 5 county commissioners. The letter basically stated that we wish additional guidelines be imposed, not additional guidelines, but separate guidelines be imposed on the rural counties of Nevada. Like I said, we only have 3 active cases. Story County has no active cases, and some of the other counties have low active cases right now. Actually, Story County never even had a case. So what our letter requested of the governor is that for the rural counties, which are 15 counties in Nevada, except for Clark County and Washoe, we want the rural counties to be treated differently than Clark and Washoe counties. Our population is actually much lower, and so we feel that we should be treated differently. Now, I understand that the governor is supposed to have a conference or a press conference on Friday, and he will undoubtedly issue additional statements regarding the COVID-19 crisis, and I hope he addresses the rural counties. I believe he will. We have, like I said, we've obeyed and adhered to all of the requirements of the state and the CDC. So we're very hopeful that he will address us separately. The other crisis, of course, that COVID-19 has addressed is, not addressed, but has caused is the economic crisis. And that has a devastating effect, not only on the county, but on our residents, on our small business owners, our small businesses, some of our large businesses, the casinos. So those economic effects are kind of a trickle-down thing. If people are not able to earn a living, they're not able to pay their taxes, they're not able to go shopping as they normally would. Tax revenues are going to go down, and we really need to address those. And we have started to address those at the county level. Tomorrow we're having a Board of County Commissioners meeting. One of the items on the agenda will address the status of the COVID-19 crisis, and in particular, our budget projections for revenue. We had a revenue projection that was given to us on April 1st or 2nd, I forget the exact date. And that was based on the Department of Taxation, the State Department of Taxation's revenue projections at the time. I understand that the Department of Taxation has not changed those projections, but we feel here in Douglas County that it's going to be a big impact. And so we're going to discuss what projections we're going to go with tomorrow at tomorrow's meeting. I think the worst case scenario is that they're projecting that we could have a $10 million shortfall in revenue in the next fiscal year, which is fiscal year 2021. The more moderate projections show that we'll have about a $6 million revenue shortfall. And the way we're addressing those is that number one, first of all, in the current fiscal year, which is fiscal year 20, ending on June 30th, 2020, I don't believe there's going to be, we don't believe there's going to be any shortfall in revenue. In fact, through the third quarter, the revenue received, for instance, on the TOT and the transit occupancy tax, that's been $2 million over what we originally projected for revenue. Some of our general fund revenue was also increased over what we originally projected. So we may have a excess revenue at the end of fiscal 20, perhaps as much as $4 million. And of course, we will use that to address issues that will impact the next fiscal year. Another way we're addressing the budget is that our county manager has instituted a hiring freeze on all new employees right now. He's also instituted or directed the departments in the county to cut their purchasing by at least 10% over what was budgeted initially in the tentative budget. There'll be other places where we can actually cut and move revenues around, but that's going to be decided at a budget meeting, probably sometime mid-month this month. We have to submit a final budget, which has to be balanced to the Department of Taxation, and I forget the deadline for that, but it's coming up soon. So we're going to have some serious decisions to make. But I do want to again thank the residents of Douglas County for adhering to the social distancing, and hopefully with that, the governor can see some leeway in allowing us to open up businesses and resume some kind of normalcy here in Douglas County. At the debate, I don't know how many of you watched the debate the other night, but it was really well attended. I understand there were some 14 or 15,000 people that were watching it online. And my opponent, he stated that the BOCC, the Board of County Commissioners, must focus on the needs of the county and not the wants. Well, if it's one thing he should have learned by attending the BOCC meetings in the past, is that he should have learned that that's exactly what we do. We have a priority-based budgeting. It's kind of a hybrid system, by priority-based and zero-based. So we do base our needs and our budget on the needs of the county, and not on pet projects like some have indicated. And one last thing about revenue. There will be an initiative, I believe, hasn't been approved by the board yet, but there will be an initiative on the November ballot asking for a tax increase on diesel fuel. I know we have a tax-averse county that doesn't like to raise taxes, but perhaps the initiative might see some light if the residents realize that people driving gasoline cars are paying 5 cents more a gallon than many people who are driving the diesel tax, and that extra tax revenue can go a long way towards road maintenance, or perhaps for a bond that we may issue for new roads or something. So anyhow, that's basically what I have to say about COVID-19. On Friday, we are having a joint meeting of the Board of Health and the Board of County Commissioners to discuss reopening Douglas County. And hopefully we'll have some more guidance from the state by then. But please join in. We'll have, like I said, the Board of Health, which is made up of the county commission, plus the sheriff and the health officer, which is Dr. Holman. So I'm sure we'll have some really good dialogue on Friday and talk about how we can open up.